Hello, everyone. It's Christy Bird McKeeve, and today is Friday, September 28th. I'm looking forward to a couple of days off next week, and just wanted to record this while I had a moment to catch my breath from a very busy few weeks. Really exciting times in Northern California for graduate medical education and medical education and a whole bunch of other things. But today I'm going to focus on questions around medical students and as well the application for the family medicine residency. And please know that you have a really strong team with Healthy Rural California's graduate medical education efforts. We have been accredited for a psychiatry residency. And so we went down that path of accreditation for psychiatry last year, almost exactly the same time frame. And so we have a lot of perspective, a lot of systems that have been put into place to support this family medicine accreditation process. So we have a site visit by ACGME on Wednesday, October 4th for the family medicine residency. It's a really important step that ACGME has to go through in order for them to accredit new programs and existing programs even as well. So the site visit, right, we're a new program. Healthy Rural California is a relatively new sponsoring institution. This is a new community. And it's given me a lot of reflection on as much as we tried to be inclusive for family medicine and sort of follow the same framework that we did for psychiatry, we are definitely not as cohesive because the psychiatry team had a really short time frame. We were able to get all the faculty from 7 different clinical partner sites to be a part of the conversations, to understand the accreditation process. And I felt like when we submitted the application a year ago and then had our site visit, I think it was November 9th, the psychiatry and the family medicine review committees at ACGME are on different schedules. Anyway, so we had so much common conversations that it feels a little bit different for family medicine, and that is because of the logistics of the requirements, right? You have to have so many different specialty requirements for family medicine. And even though we have less clinical sites for family medicine than we do for psychiatry, even, between Enloe Medical Center, Northern Valley Indian Health, the VA of Northern California, and then we're doing behavioral health with our partners at Turning Point in Sacramento, led by Dr. Mitchell, who is becoming the program director for psychiatry. Anyway, we had it seems a little bit more like communication is needed now in order to prepare everyone for the family medicine application. Now, not all faculty will be involved next Wednesday for this site visit. And that is normal. You really just want to focus on your core faculty, which is a different designation than other faculty. And then the program director, me as the CEO of Healthy Rural California, is representative of what would normally be a department chair at a school of medicine. And that's common for consortium model or even FQHC-based family medicine residencies. So the CEO, and I'm also GME administrator, so that also is why I'm going to be interviewed. Okay, so we had this great meeting on Wednesday at Enloe Conference Center, and we had the chance for faculty to get together and talk. And lots of questions came up. We had a presentation by our friends at Touro University College of Osteopathic Medicine on integrating teaching into your clinical practice and sort of cheering us on to the family medicine accreditation. It was just such, I love when we get together and you can feel the energy and the interest. You can also feel and sense and hear the hesitancy of adding one more thing onto everyone's plate and how busy everyone is and how the need for more doctors is so great, and that everyone's feeling that burden. So we will continue faculty development. Healthy Rural California already runs faculty development programs for psychiatry. They've been going on since last fall, because we also started them up in advance of the site visit last November for psychiatry, and that all faculty will get volunteer clinical faculty status at UC Davis and at Touro University. And this will provide free access to PubMed and some other great perks, as well as just a wealth. It's just such a great faculty development resource. And then Healthy Rural California will coordinate our own faculty development meetings as frequently as we possibly can without overloading everybody. So the two questions that came up regarding this application for accreditation for family medicine was about didactics. So most of the faculty understand that they have agreed to teach in the specialty that they are board certified in, and that is a fit within the requirements of the family medicine curriculum. And so that is understood. The goals and objectives can be reviewed. For the core faculty who will be on the site visit call next Wednesday, those are truly things they need to understand. And then Dr. Zwerdling provided a fantastic overview of milestones, how you can track them, what that all means for ACGME. That was at Wednesday's meeting, and we recorded it and are sharing that link with everyone. Again, only for those who are in the site visit. Do you need to know that now? We'll do more meetings and more trainings once we're accredited in hopefully early 2024. But the didactics bit was kind of a surprise to many. Don't be surprised. You have to say to ACGME that you're going to have a strong didactics program as a part of the application process. And so, but everybody knows that we're not going to have residents until 2025, and like pretty much every single didactics listed is going to change. And so what we did our best in, okay, well, this is faculty in this specialty, so they should teach about this topic. And it makes sense. You have to show to ACGME that the faculty are going to teach didactics, but you also have to show that like our UC Davis faculty are going to also share their didactics with us. And we have a greater network through the Compadre program with UC Davis and OSHU that supports these efforts, especially for family medicine throughout the region. So it's a bit of, we need to submit something for the application, but nothing is set in stone. We know things are going to change. We just have to prove to ACGME on Wednesday that we have enough of the resources required to fulfill the ACGME requirements. It's the accreditation process. So I hope that calms everybody down about the didactics. Nothing is set in stone. It's merely a roadmap to say, see, we deserve to be accredited because we know that the faculty will be engaged in sharing their knowledge, and that didactics are an important part of having this family medicine residency. They asked for a lot of details, which puts us in a awkward position because we're like 2 years away from even having our first didactics, and so much will change between now and then. So bear with us, but know that you as a faculty member of the family medicine residency would be expected to teach didactics, not every week, certainly not that even once a month, but at certain times through the year, it would make sense. And I think the sample that people are talking about in our meetings are, that it's flu season. And so in advance of flu season, you should talk about, X, Y, and Z, infectious diseases, et cetera. The last bit that did come up inadvertently, but I mean, it wasn't supposed to be the focus of Wednesday's discussion, but there was a question about medical students. And so I just wanted to articulate simply that there will be two kinds of medical students. The first will be what I'm calling our family medicine medical students. And that would start up in early 2024. What we would be doing is bringing, Healthy Rural California does this. We have VSLO, which is the national system for medical students to apply to do these rotations or sort of auditions, if you will, for the residency programs. And it's a great way for us at Healthy Rural California, and faculty to then meet these medical students who are interested in the family medicine residency. These would be 2 to 4 weeks. The medical student would be in the area on their own dime. They have usually their medical students year 3, ending year 3 and beginning year 4, or year 4 as they're looking to figure out which, of their applications for the residency program will fit best. Or maybe they're year 4 taking a gap year, and so they're planning ahead to apply. But most medical students are applying for their residency programs now. Mid-September, when ERAS, which is the application system throughout the world for residency programs, it typically opens September 15th for applications. So that's what we started to do this year for the psychiatry residency, was to bring in these medical students. Believe me, trust me, when I heard this in March, right after we got accredited, oh, we should start bringing medical students in, I was like, no, we can't do this. And then the team and then talking to various different friends and mentors that we've engaged with, there's many throughout the region, had advised us to just do this, and our team was on board. And I'm so glad that we did, because for psychiatry, we now know 6 different medical students. They came to Chico. They went to different faculty, mostly in Yuba City, just because those were the partners who were most open to having medical students at the time. And then Paradise, and in the care response team for suicide prevention. And we really want to encourage our psychiatry faculty to open their doors for these medical students. And we're in the process of getting more folks engaged for that. But we're pretty much booked with medical students through the end of 2023, and have opened up the slots for early 2024, because it's a vital part of the whole medical education journey, but also the recruitment of these folks into the residency programs, and for our clinical partners, for them hopefully, being won over by you, early on, so that they will choose to stay at your clinical facility after graduation from the residency programs. So it's a very long haul, but that's my brain. I'm always looking to the future. So we need to have the psychiatry faculty taking medical students now. And it could just be a half day, a whole day. It doesn't even have to be the full 2 weeks at all. And these medical students really just want to observe. If they can be with a patient, fantastic. If not, it's okay too. They are very interested in talking to the nurses, talking to, for psychiatry, it's like, they want to know the whole team. They want to know how it works. They want to know our community, and they want to be here. It's so exciting. I got to tell you, it's been the most thrilling thing. I'm going to tell you about Nicole. She is a 4th year now at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. It's a brand new medical school, so she actually has experience with brand new programs. Anyway, she and her husband is in water. It's a whole job. My first husband was in water, so it's a whole thing. They have been in Sacramento. And Nicole described her dream being a psychiatrist and living in a place like Quincy. So we super enjoyed meeting Nicole. And so this is why this one type of medical student rotation is really important, and why we want to get them going for family medicine as soon as possible. I think we have to wait till we're accredited. I'm not sure if that's an official rule, but it's kind of that trigger within AAMC and VISLO to open up those rotations. And so I just wanted to articulate one medical student type that we are going to be asking everyone to open their hearts to soon for family medicine, so that that recruitment process can happen. These will be year 3, who would then be applying next summer or next September when ERAS opens for the 2025 first cohort for family medicine. So we want to get as many in the door as possible. We want them to know us and us to know them. I will tell you, for psychiatry, we got the applications on Wednesday, and there were more than 455 because they keep coming in. So I'm just going to use the number 455 because I can remember that. But we have 455 applications for the psychiatry residency that is brand new, community focused, innovative. There's not another program like it in the United States. It is so incredibly validating and wonderful, and just, I want to thank all of them. And of course, we were in there trying to see if any or all of the medical students who had just rotated with us had applied. We do evaluations. We've had positive evaluations, and it's just so validating and wonderful. So again, it's a big week. I do want to talk just super quickly about something that would happen in the future, likely in 2025. And that would be what I'm going to use the term for is regional campus. So that is a different type of medical student that we will need to really look at and get going. And I'm going to just say that we anticipate 20 to 25 per year, starting in the year 2025. Half of those would come from UC Davis and half from Touro University. And then they would do the 3rd year of their medical school, all 12 months in Chico. We've got to build this thing. They do need housing, which is an obstacle, but we've been looking at some different potential ideas, and it's doable. This is doable. There's 6 required rotations for both the DO and MD, and they can be taught simultaneously, side by side. There's no problem with that. These are the clinical rotations expected, and just on the big scale, let's go up to 27,000 feet. Across the country, medical schools have heeded the warning that we're going to have a serious physicians shortage by the year 2030, 2040. I forget which year the data shows, but a lot of physicians are going to retire. And so there's the need to raise up more physicians to fill those gaps. And I think that areas like Northern California are going to even be in worse positions. So, because the average age is already higher, say in the Butte-Glenn area. I know this because I also run Butte-Glenn Medical Society. So that type of medical, yes, I know it's a big ask and I know it's a big deal. But rest assured that 2025 is when the family medicine residents start, and they are obligated, they are required to teach medical students. Well, not medical students per se, but right when you teach something, you actually learn it. And so ACGME expects that residents will be teaching. So let's get those medical students in, and then that lessens the burden on any of the preceptors, because the residents will be the preceptors for the medical students. So we may not start off in 2025 with a full 20 to 25 medical students. We might go with like 15 or something, but the demand is there because the medical schools across the country have increased their enrollment significantly. And then that puts pressure on the clinical rotations that are needed for year 3. Now, I could talk a little bit about eventually, it would be great to have a branch campus of a college, a medical school, if not a standalone, but those years 1 and 2 of medical school are very heavy classroom learning. And so that's a whole other conversation for another day. There are conversations around a tribal medical school. I figure if we're going to build a medical school in Chico, let's talk about a tribal medical school that can be, just making some spaces available for tribal youth who are qualified to go to medical school and would like to stay in California. Let's make that happen. Okay, but those are separate. Like that could be the branch campus. And I'm finding out a whole bunch of exciting medical education pathways for tribal youth already in the works. And we're leading a task force to look at this. The next meeting will be November 2nd. But again, that's just this continuum. And I had no idea when we went down this path in 2019 and 2020. I thought we were just going to build a psychiatry residency. And if we got to family medicine, it would be a miracle. And yet, there's a whole bunch of factors that are coming together to help make this all successful. And a lot of people cheering on Enloe Medical Center and Northern Valley Indian Health and wanting to see us all be in, a learning health community. I put this in the mag. I'm doing a new edition of the magazine, and it's all in there. Learning healthcare community, and we have that. If you look at Chico, we've got Chico State, the School of Nursing. We've got Butte College. It's great education, great healthcare, but medical education has been missing. And so, what I didn't know, I didn't know a lot back in 2019 and 2020. I did not know a lot, but what I didn't know until this year was that you start with GME and then you go to UME and then we have pre-med actually at Chico State. So I mean, it's already sort of, the pieces are there so much, we just have to fill in those gaps. So it's normal to actually start with GME. In my mind, right, you think about the public health bachelor's degree at Chico State, and now they're talking about a master's in public health at Chico State, right? You start at the lower levels to go into graduate. No. With medical education in a community like ours, you actually start with graduate medical education and then look at the other levels. So lots more to come on how to incorporate the medical students. Honestly, we just have to get through Wednesday and the site visit for accreditation for family medicine. And then we need to go through the interviews for psychiatry and sort of get that ball rolling, which is already in process, thanks to the amazing leadership team. And I wanted to share that psychiatry will have a new leadership team. We're so grateful to Dr. Harkrat Sagu, who has been an integral part of getting us through accreditation. And we are now in the midst of promoting Dr. Rachel Mitchell to be the program, director. And then Dr. Donovan Wong and Dr. Rumi Kular to be the co-associate program directors. And why do you have all these different needs? It's because the amount of time required to do the interviews and get through all these applications and select the final 4. But really, when the residents are on board teaching, making sure that the clinical facilities know what's going on, the faculty are engaged, everybody's meeting their milestones, it actually takes a good 0.6 FTE, if not more. And so between the commitments that these 3 busy and wonderful physicians have, we needed to get to 0.6 FTE. And so that's how it's all going to be led. And it's just thrilling. All 3 have fairly recent experience as residents, and that's actually a wealth of information because ACGME has changed so much in the last 10 to 20 years that it's important to have someone who's within 5 years of being a resident so that they can already know what these incoming medical students, incoming residents are seeking. It's very different. Very different. So that's what I wanted to share. And I am always open to questions. We did apply for funding to do planning and development for internal medicine. I get it. It seems like, oh my God, Christy, slow your roll, right? Like this is what? But funding, it takes at least $1 million and 2 to 3 years, if not more, to get a new residency going. And I think we're going to get a good pace going now that we've had psychiatry, which is very different, and then family medicine, different clinical partners in those two different programs. So we're hitting our stride, but the funding only becomes available when it's available. It's not like you wake up in December and you're like, yeah, we got to go for internal medicine, and then the funding is there. No, it could be once a year. It could be every 6 months. There's no real way to be able to predict when those funds would be available for planning and development. So we went ahead, and Rachel Sanchez, who's Wonder Woman, managed to get that application in. And so stay tuned about internal medicine in the future. But I do think this will all reinforce having more doctors in improving access to care within just a few years of the residents starting. So it's a good thing to do. All right, you all have a wonderful weekend.